We are the Gujarat Technological University. Since its inception over a decade ago, GTU has been empowering young and curating minds to realize their true potential. Over 4 lakh inspired students are enrolled with one of the premier academic universities in India. With more than 450 affiliated colleges in its fold operating across 5 zones of the state, GTU, the International Innovative University, your place to move forward.
Hello everyone, welcome back to lecture series on refrigeration and air conditioning. We are continuing with our topic of psychrometry. So let's begin. So we will have some revision of our previous topics and then we will begin with our new topics for today. So we begin with the pressure of water vapor, which is direct formula from Carrier's equation. Then we studied about relative humidity and we derived equation of relative humidity. Then we studied about degree of saturation and we also derived the formula for the same. Then we studied about dew point temperature. Then enthalpy of moist air, which is summation of enthalpy of dry air plus enthalpy of water vapor. And one by one we derived the formula for enthalpy. Okay, so we are beginning our today's lecture, in which I am giving you few topics for self-study, which are temperature and humidity measuring instruments, in which one will be hygrometer, the second will be psychrometer. Psychrometer has 2 types. First is sling psychrometer and second is aspirating psychrometer. I feel that you can do these topics by your own with your textbooks. Now we will begin our next topic, which is psychrometric chart. This is a very important chart for getting the values of various psychrometric properties. So we will try to learn this through a figure. So this is the image of psychrometric chart. So I suggest you to focus on this figure very carefully, because it is quite complicated. As you can see, many properties are present in a single chart. So on the x-axis we are having dry bulb temperature, that is going from -5 to 43 degrees Celsius. This is the normal temperature that we measure with our usual thermometers. That is, dry bulb temperature is present on x-axis, and on the y-axis we are having specific humidity. Specific humidity is on the y-axis and its unit is kilogram per kilogram of dry air. There is a printing mistake here. It should not be kg, it should not be kj, it should be kg. Okay. Now regarding the constant dry bulb temperature lines. So all the vertical lines which you are observing here, all the lines are constant dry bulb temperature lines. So if you see, if we focus on this 5 number, then this entire line is a constant dry bulb temperature line at 5 degrees Celsius. Similarly for 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. So all the vertical lines indicate the constant dry bulb temperature lines. Then the second category is constant specific humidity lines. So as you can see that these are values of specific humidity, that is 0.002, 0.004 and so on. So all the horizontal black color lines, that is thin black color lines, are constant specific humidity lines. Okay, so these are two things that we have covered. First is all vertical lines indicate constant dry bulb temperature and all the horizontal lines indicate specific humidity, constant specific humidity lines. So we are done with two lines. Then there is one important thing, which is saturation curve. So as you can see, there is a one curve that is starting from here, and this curve is going up and up to this. So this curve at the border of this entire figure is known as saturation curve, and on this curve the relative humidity will be 100%. That is the maximum amount of water vapor is contained in the air on this line. That is called as saturation curve line. The next is constant wet bulb temperature lines. So here all these red color lines, as you are observing, all the red color lines indicate wet bulb temperature, and these are non-uniformly spaced line. I am repeating again that we are currently discussing about this red color inclined lines, which are wet bulb temperature lines, and the values of wet bulb temperature are given on the saturation curve. That is, if you see this -5, 0, 5, 10, all these values are of temperature, that is wet bulb temperature. So this red color indicate the wet bulb temperature lines. Now the next is constant relative humidity lines. That is, as it is shown here, that it will be denoted with black color. So all these curves which somewhat looks parallel to the saturation curves, all these black color curves which looks somewhat parallel to saturation curve are the constant relative humidity line. So I am talking about thick black color curves, and as you can see here, that is this saturation curve, as I was telling you earlier, that this is 100% relative humidity. Below that you can see it is at 90%, then 85%, 80%. So as you go below, then all this relative humidity percentages are getting decreased. You can see here 20, 15, 10, like that. So all these are constant relative humidity lines. Then we have constant dew temperature lines. So how we can obtain this dew point temperature lines? That those are horizontal. So, and their values are found on saturation curve. So for wet bulb temperature we are focusing on the inclined red color line, and to obtain the dew point temperature we will be using the horizontal lines, and the values will be obtained on the saturation curve only. So this horizontal line will also help us to calculate the dew point temperature whose values are obtained at this saturation curve. Then we have constant enthalpy lines. So constant enthalpy lines are also obtained through this red inclined lines. However, the value of enthalpy will be obtained through this numbers or this scale. You can see we are having a different scale for enthalpy and different values for wet bulb temperature. So through this single curve we can also obtain the values of enthalpy, which is varying from 0 to 10, then 10 to 20. So it is increasing in this way. So you can obtain the values of enthalpy through this scale. Now the next is constant specific volume lines. The constant specific volume lines, as you can see, that those are indicated through this thick black curve, black lines, and those are inclined lines. As you can see, this blue color curves are having the values of specific volume. And then we have enthalpy deviation lines, which are indicated with this yellow color. These are enthalpy deviation lines, as you can see here. And the last is sensible heat factor, which is shown here. We will study this sensible heat factor today itself in few topics after this. So this is entirely the psychrometric curve, and one more thing which is left is vapor pressure, which is measured through this scale, and it is measured in unit of mm of Hg. So this was our psychrometric chart. Okay, we are now done with psychrometric chart, and important features of psychrometric charts are constant dry bulb temperature lines, saturation curve, specific humidity lines, constant white bulb temperature lines, constant relative humidity lines, constant dew point temperature lines, constant enthalpy lines, sensible heat factor lines. Now we are going to study about various processes on psychrometric chart. So to understand this, we will first draw one figure. So as on a psychrometric chart, on x-axis we have dry bulb temperature. So this will be dry bulb temperature, and then on the y-axis we have specific humidity. And now we can draw the saturation curve. So this will be our dry bulb temperature. Then we will have So here we will have specific humidity on y-axis. Then we will study one by one various processes. So let's begin. First of all, we will try to study about sensible heating and sensible cooling. That is from point O till point B. So as you can see here, that specific humidity is remaining constant and temperature is getting increased. So this will be a sensible heating. Similarly, we can also draw sensible cooling. That will be also a horizontal line like this, and this will be up to A. So as you can see that temperature is getting decreased and specific humidity is remaining constant. So this will be sensible cooling. So one by one we can mention them. So we can say OB. OB is sensible heating. OA is sensible cooling. Then we will go through another processes in which let us draw humidification from point O so we can obtain in this way, and this will be, let us say, point C. So you can see that the dry bulb temperature is remaining constant. However, the specific humidity is getting increased. So this is called as humidification process, and exactly reverse to this, there will be a dehumidification process in which the temperature will remain constant but specific humidity will decrease in this way, and this will be denoted as D. So we can again write down the names. That O2C is humidification and O2D is dehumidification. Okay. Now we will further continue with our new process. Let us denote it with another color. That here now we will have combination of heating and humidification. In this way, that will be up to E. So as you can see that the temperature is also increasing and specific humidity is also increasing in this case. Similarly, we can also draw a reverse process of this. Up to, let us say, point F. So point F will be, this process O2F will be called as cooling and dehumidification. So let us denote them. That O2E is heating and humidification, and then O2F is called cooling and dehumidification. Okay, now we are left with last process on this. Which is this, and it will be up to point G, and this will be O2G will be called as chemical dehumidification. So these are all processes, and we will study in detail about all these processes one by one. So we can take this into our presentation now. Okay, so now we have studied all important psychrometric processes on psychrometric chart. Now we will go one by one in each of these processes. So the first process is sensible cooling, in which now we will be discussing about the process which is shown from O to A. So to understand this, we will draw another figure. So first of all, we see the arrangement, that how we can have a sensible cooling. So this is important thing, which is a refrigerant will be used for cooling the air. Now here, as our objective is to cool, so let us say that we are having a hot moist air entering in this arrangement. That's why it is denoted with the red color, as it is hot. And these are all this is refrigerant, so we can denote it. So this part will be our refrigerant. Okay, and this will be our hot air, and it should get cold as it is leaving this arrangement. So this is now, this has been cooled. Now you need to remember that the temperatures, this temperature will be TD1, which is higher temperature. This refrigerant will be at TD2, and at the exit it will be TD2. Actually this will be 3, TD TD3. Okay, so again to reiterate, we are using a refrigerant which is at TD3. The air is coming at higher temperature TD1 and it is getting cooled through this refrigerant, and exit temperature is TD3. Now we will draw the same process on our psychrometric chart. So we are here at TD1. The coldest temperature is here, and we are obtaining temperature that is in between. You need to take care of colors which I am using so that it will be better for you to understand. So the process is happening in this way, that it is going from here and this is going from here. So this temperature is TD3. This in between temperature, which is the final temperature of air, is TD2, and the initial temperature is TD1. Okay, during this entire process, this W is remaining constant, specific humidity, and the enthalpy, as far as enthalpies are concerned, they are shown in this way. Okay, so this will be the values of enthalpies which will be obtained from here. So as you can see, the enthalpy will reduce as it is a cooling process. So we can take this figure. So this will be our sensible cooling process. Now the temperature of air decreases and relative humidity increases, but the specific humidity is remaining constant. So as you can see that the specific humidity is remaining constant. Now to make the moisture content to remain constant, that is to maintain the specific humidity as constant, the surface of cooling coil should be dry and its surface temperature should be greater than the dew point temperature of air. Otherwise what will happen, that if the surface temperature is equal or less than the dew point temperature, then the water bubbles or droplets will start forming on the cooling coil, and that will not maintain this moisture content as constant. Ideally the exit temperature of air should be equal to the coil temperature. However, the exit air temperature will be higher than the cooling coil temperature. So what does this mean? See, ideally what should happen, that as we are using this TD3 refrigerant, the final temperature of exit should be equal to TD3. However, as this entire cooling process is not 100% efficient, this TD2 will be slightly higher than TD3, and it can be seen from this figure itself that we are using this TD3 temperature to cool. However, we are only reaching up to TD2. So here this is the final point. If this point is much closer to TD3, it will be of better cooling. Okay, so this also indicates the performance, that if TD2 goes near to this, then it will be a better thing for us. Now the heat rejected is CPA TD1 minus TD2. Why this is coming? Because this is the dry air portion and this is the water vapor portion. Okay, so we are combining them and its combined value is 1.022, where TD1 is the dry bulb temperature of air, TD2 is dry bulb temperature of air at outlet, and CPM is the humid specific heat. Now sensible cooling. To understand sensible cooling, we will again use a figure. So instead of refrigerant here, instead of this refrigerant, as now we are in sensible heating, there should be some arrangement for heating. So let us say that instead of refrigerant we are using the steam. So TD3 will be at higher temperature and the remaining things are as it is. So TD1 will be lower temperature here, TD2 will be higher temperature here, and steam will be at the highest temperature in this arrangement. So I need to erase this as the process has changed. Okay. So now here TD1 is the coldest point, TD1, and the exit temperature is TD2 as we are heating it, TD2, and here this will be our steam point, which is at TD3. So we are at here, so sensible heating will increase its temperature. So we can denote the numbers. This will be our point 1. The second will be point number 2, and the third is that steam point is point number 3. So as you can see that the steam is getting cooled down and this air is becoming hot. So this is the sensible heating. Okay. And the formulas will remain as it is. It will be very similar to the sensible cooling. The temperature of air here increases and relative humidity reduces, but the specific humidity remains constant. To make the moisture content to remain, so this will remain same as it is, and the heat absorbed is equal to CPA TD2 minus TD1 plus WCPS TD2 minus TD1, and it is same as it is. Now bypass factor. Bypass factor is very important part for performance of our cooling or heating process. That the effective temperature of air may be equal to the cooling coil surface only when the cooling coil is 100% effective. So this point has already been discussed, that here ideally what should happen in cooling process is this TD2 should be equal to TD3. That will be the 100% cooling performance. However, it is not achieved in our real life. So in real life, the exit temperature will be higher than the cooling coil temperature because some part of air does not come in contact with the cooling coil and it remains in unchanged condition. So all air is not coming in contact with the cooling coil. That's why the exit temperature is higher than the cooling coil temperature. A new factor is a contact factor. Contact factor is defined as fraction of air which comes in contact with the cooling coil and cooled to the surface temperature of coil. And the bypass factor is defined as the fraction of air that does not come in contact with the coil and that fraction of air are not cooled or heated during this process. So two are opposite factors. So it is completely a reverse. Contact factor means the portion of air which is coming in contact, and in bypass factor the fraction of air which is not coming in contact. And lower bypass factor gives better performance of coil. So we will study this through a diagram. So this will be our cooling coil of refrigerant. Okay, now here we need to take care that at the entry here we are having 1 kg of air. Okay, and similarly at the exit we are having 1 kg of air which is exiting this device or apparatus. Now the new thing which is coming here, okay, we can note down nomenclatures here. This will be refrigerant. This will be of 1 kg. At the same time, exit will also be of 1 kg. However, the new thing which is coming here, here the portion of air which is going into contact with the coil will be not all 1 kg. Actually, this will be 1 minus x. 1 minus x kg. Okay, so what is the leftover part? Leftover part is x kg, and x kg will be going into this bypass portion. So this will not come in contact with the cooling coils. So this will be only x kg. Okay, and at the end they will meet again and they will form 1 kg. So we will be assuming that this 1 minus x kg is coming in fully contact with this, and x kg is not coming purely in contact with this cooling coil. Okay, so we have divided 2 streams. Now we can draw the psychrometric chart for this. It will be similar to our sensible cooling psychrometric chart. So this will be, as we are cooling it, this point will be T D1 and it will be denoted here with point number 1. Then our cooling refrigerant is at point number 3, which is somewhere here. So this is indicated as point number 3 and its temperature is T D 3, and the final temperature of the stream is point number 2, is T D2. Okay, and the process which is happening is this. Let us denote it with green color. No, we will use red color for this. So this is happening in this way, that this is getting cooled, that is the stream of air is getting cooled and the refrigerant is getting heated, and we are getting the final condition as point number 2. Okay, so we can copy this. So this is the figure for bypass factor. So let 1 kg of air at temperature TD1 is passed over cooling coil whose temperature is TD3 and air is living at a temperature of TD2. This is the same arrangement we were having in our sensible cooling portion. Assume that x kg air out of 1 kg is bypassed, that is not cooled, and remaining 1 minus x kg comes in direct contact with the coil with temperature of TD3, that is coil surface temperature. Now we will apply energy balance, that is in this way. If you see carefully, then 1 minus x is directly coming in contact with this TD3 and x part is remaining at temperature TD1 and the final temperature of 1 kg is TD2. So with intuition you can understand this equation very easily. Then making x as a subject in this equation, we will obtain this formula. It may take some time to get you up to this equation from this equation, but you can do it by yourself. It is simple mathematical formulations. So this is defined as bypass factor, and bypass factor can also be represented as this formula, in which U is overall heat transfer coefficient of coil, AS is the surface area and M is the mass. So we will simply remember this formula and we will not derive this. And the efficiency of sensible cooling is defined as 1 minus bypass factor. And now we will study about mixing of airstream. First of all, we will draw one figure for this. So we are having mixing of stream. So let us say that this section is 1, denoted as 1. This section is denoted as 2. And the final mixing is denoted as point number 3. Okay. Now the air, the stream is coming from one air stream is coming from here, second is from here, and they are getting mixed in this pipeline and then they are exiting here. So the condition of air stream at different locations, this will be at M1, M1, H1 and W1. So what does this mean? That the condition of airstream at 1 is mass is M1, enthalpy is H1 and specific humidity is W1. Similarly, we can write down for section 2 also that it will be M2, H2, W2. And the final condition will be M3, H3 and W3. Okay, so this is the way air mixing is happening, and we can draw this mixing process on psychrometric chart. Okay, so let's draw the psychrometric chart for this. So we are having various points. Point number 1 is here. Then we are having, let us say the condition of stream is at point 2 is this. So here we are having various conditions. Let us say this is T D2, then we are having T D1. Similarly here we will be having W1, this will be W2, and the enthalpies will be on psychrometric chart, they can be obtained here. That is, this value will be H1 and this value will be H2. That is, they are taken by connecting these lines. Okay, and as we are mixing, the final one will be in between these two, that is point number 3 will be here, and the value of temperature will be here, that is T D3, and the specific enthalpy will be W3. Okay, so this is the process which is happening, and the value of enthalpy at the exit will be H3. Okay, so this is the mixing of two air streams. So this will be our arrangement for mixing of airstream and its representation on psychrometric chart. Now mass balance is M1 plus M2 equal to M3, as you can see in this figure also, that M1 plus this mass conservation law will say that M1 plus M2 is equal to M3, and similarly we can write down for the energy balance, that is M1H1 plus M2H2 will be equal to M3H3. Energy balance is given by this equation, M1H1 plus M2H2 is equal to M3H3, and mass balance of water vapor can be written in this with this formula, that is M1W1 plus M2W2 is equal to M3W3. Now if you see carefully, we have combined the mass balance equation and energy balance equation by replacing M3 with M1 plus M2. So when you combine first and second equation, we will get this fourth equation, and then we can go ahead with this simplification and we will obtain the ratio of M1 plus M2. Similarly, if we do the same thing with this mass balance of water vapor, we can obtain this formula. I suggest you to pause this video for a while and do this by yourself. It is quite easy to obtain this. Now we are into our last topic of today, which is humidification and dehumidification. Okay. So humidification is a psychrometric process during which water vapor is added to the air at constant dry bulb temperature, and hence specific humidity and humidity ratio of moist air is increased. And in pure humidification, sensible heat remains constant. The enthalpy increase during such process is only due to the addition of latent heat of water vapor which is added. Now we will try to understand this with a figure. So let us say we are having our initial condition as 0.1 and final condition is, let us say, 0.2. So it is purely a vertical line like this. So what is happening during this, that if you see, the dry bulb temperature is remaining constant, that is TD1 equal to TD2. That is, the dry bulb temperature is not getting changed. However, the values of W1 and W2 is changed. That is, W2 is higher than the W1 as it is humidification process. As well as, if you see the relative humidity lines, then the relative humidity is also increased. That is, this was, let us say, this was phi 1 and this will be phi 2. So this has increased. At the same time, we can see that the enthalpy has also increased, which is purely due to the latent heat of added water vapor. Okay, so this is the figure for humidification process. Okay, so this is the figure for humidification, and its value is given by H2 minus H1 is equal to latent heat, which is HFG into W2 minus W1, where HFG is latent heat of vaporization at constant dry bulb temperature. And now dehumidification process. Dehumidification is a psychrometric process during which water vapor is removed from the air at constant dry bulb temperature, and hence the specific humidity and humidity ratio of moist air is reduced. In pure dehumidification, sensible heat remains constant and the enthalpy decrease during such process is only due to the reduction of latent heat of water vapor which is being removed. So we will first draw a figure for this. Similar to this. So here let us say that our beginning point is point number 1 and the final point is point number 2. So this is the way the dehumidification is working. that initially the water vapor was at W1 and the specific humidity has reduced to W2. However, the temperature, the dry bulb temperature TD1 equal to TD2. Okay, and as you can see, the enthalpies, the relative humidity has reduced from phi1 to phi2, and the enthalpy values have also changed, or they have reduced. That is, this will be H1 and this will be H2. So this is the way the dehumidification works, and we can copy this now. So the reduction of enthalpy is given by H1 minus H2, which is latent heat, is equal to HFG W1 minus W2, where HFG is latent heat of vaporization at constant dry bulb temperature. And this is the end of our today's lecture. I hope that you were having fun in learning various psychrometric processes, and we are planning to finish this chapter in our next lecture. See you soon in our next video. Thank you so much.